Hey, Curiosphere. This is Pratham here.
And I'm Suraj.
I hope you guys are doing well. On this channel, we basically have random open-ended conversations about some of the topics that have intrigued or fascinated us. So we pick something interesting and that we wondered about, and we bounce our ideas, thoughts, and perspectives off of each other, just to see what we think about it from the little bit of experience we've gathered from movies or books or culture. So yeah, in today's episode, we're going to talk about a bit of outer space, the Earth's vicinity, and the human effort to explore the solar system. This is something that gets me really excited, and I think it's the same for Suraj as well.
Yep.
So yeah, let's get right into the good stuff. So, Suraj, I wanted to start off with playing a bit of audio for you and see if you recognize what it is.
Okay, let me try.
So here goes.
Okay, Houston, we've had a problem here. This is Houston. Say again, please. Houston, we've had a problem. We've had a main B plus undervolt. Roger, main B undervolt.
Okay, did you get that?
Yeah, I got it. So I think I pretty much know what it is growing up watching Hollywood movies and, sci-fi movies. It's anytime when you are in the face of danger or anything, you encounter anything that's terrifying or you haven't been trained to. That's what you tell.
Yep.
Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah. So, but do you know where it originated? Like the original mission that got that phrase kind of in the mainstream?
Not really. Like I know about Houston.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm not sure about its inception.
Okay. So that's kind of where I wanted to start with. So that's from the Apollo 13 mission specifically. Are you familiar with that mission?
Not really.
Okay. So a bit of context for anyone who's not familiar. So the Apollo 13 mission was a mission that actually did not land on the moon. And right from the beginning of the mission, there were a lot of problems and failures. So right in the middle of the mission, when they were en route to the moon, there was a blast. And basically, neither the astronauts nor the Space Center on the ground realized what had happened. And people were scrambling to figure out what had actually happened. And then they realized that the fuel tank and the oxygen cylinder has suffered a blast.
Okay.
And so, yeah, it was like from that moment on, like when they really figured out that, okay, this has happened, and they saw that out of the two tanks, one of them is showing that there's no oxygen left at all. And that realization happened when one of the astronauts looked outside the window, and he can see some gas being blown off into space. And that's what he reported to the ground station, and then they realized that was the issue. So, yeah. So from that point forward, basically the mission they had to abandon, landing on the moon. And basically it became a survival mission to come back to Earth. And the way they brought the craft back to Earth with all the astronauts intact, that was like one of the biggest high points of that mission. So yeah, even though the mission did not really succeed, it was seen as a really successful effort because in the face of danger and basically a lot of unknowns thrown in there and a lot of issues through that journey, or sometimes the communication was off because the frequency band was being used by something else and they had to turn off some computers to save battery. And when they turned it off, the temperature got really cold in there and the inside of the spacecraft started suffering condensation and water on the instrument panel and stuff. So like there were like a lot of problems, but finally they were able to make it back.
Wait, was this right after the takeoff or when was this?
Oh yeah, once they were in space and going towards the moon, that's when the blast happened.
Okay.
Yeah, so instead of orbiting and then trying to land on the far side, they basically just orbited back and they had to adjust their trajectory and figure out how to get back to Earth.
Oh. Yeah, I think I've heard bits of this, but yeah, not to this detail.
Yeah, so I think, so the movies you were mentioning, they use that as a phrase, but that's where it actually originates from, that particular mission.
Oh, that's nice. I mean, not the actual mission part, but knowing that is nice.
Yeah.
The mission would be terrifying. Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think about the mission and the effort that started right from the 50s and 60s, the Apollo missions and others from the Soviet Union side and stuff?
Yeah, at least according to what I know, it started off as a political rivalry between US and the Soviet, because even they were planning to go ahead, and the US wanted to reach there first, and so that kind of accelerated the program. But yeah, nonetheless, it didn't stop them from making that actual spacecraft and venturing towards moon, and people actually landing over there, and that really changed the perception of NASA, I think, in the eyes of people, and that's when it became famous. And I think that was the inception of more missions that was planned future. Of course, we didn't land on the moon after that, but that really instigated our penchant towards space, towards exploration in general.
Yeah, like goes without saying about the Apollo 11 mission when they actually landed and stuff. It was like a crazy thing, just shook the world. I can't really not mention the words that he first stepped on it. I think it's just like the golden words in that history. One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Yeah.
Even if you now listen to it, it's just kind of dazzling.
Yeah, so when I heard that recording, or whenever I hear it, even now, it just, have chill running down my spine, because it kind of feels so surreal for me that we actually landed on moon. And even though there are some other great feats, like we discovered gravitational waves and all those stuff, this this human element to it, like I really enjoy that we actually went to outer space, and then we landed on moon. That really stirs up the curiosity in me.
Yeah, I think same for me also. Like, especially that we've been looking at the moon for like thousands of years, and finally a person has gone and stepped on it and collected samples and done stuff and taken pictures. And I think there was also this one famous, at least I found it on YouTube or something, this video of him throwing a hammer and a paper at the same time, and it lands on the surface together. And it just makes me, like, it just suddenly came to me. Like, I'd seen that like years back. He basically drops that heavy hammer and that light paper together, and it falls at the same rate, nice and slow, and it hits the ground softly at the same time. So, yeah, there's this real, I don't know, like, kind of like satisfactory feeling about that.
Yeah, I get what you mean. That would be awesome. I think I have seen it like a while back. I mean, a really long time ago. But yeah, it kind of seems familiar.
Oh man, some of those missions.
Yeah.
And I think there's a movie also on that. I just love that movie. I think it's called First Man. Have you seen that?
By Ryan Gosling, right?
Features it.
I think I've seen the trailer of it, but yeah, I didn't see the whole movie. Is it good?
That movie is like really intense.
Oh.
I don't know if this might be a spoiler, so. But anyways, like, it's not just about the stuff they do on the moon, which is also really well shot, but it's also about the intensity of the days and weeks before leading up to it, you know?
Oh.
And it's really well done, dude. And actually, I use some of that music sometimes if I'm trying to create something, just use that background score to play.
That's nice. I have to look it up then. I mean, I've seen these movies like Interstellar and, Gravity, not so much. But yeah, such space movies, Ad Astra, many times. But the stuff that actually happened, I ought to see it.
For sure. Okay, you mentioned Interstellar, so we can't just go past that.
Yep.
For sure. I think needless to say, it's like an awesome movie.
Yeah. I just wish that I can see that in IMAX. Like.
Oh, you didn't watch it?
No, like at that point in time, I didn't know about Christopher Nolan or what I knew Interstellar was about some movie about space. Like I think I had watched Gravity at that time, and I didn't enjoy it that much. But was Gravity before Interstellar?
I don't recall. I think maybe around the same time somewhere.
Ah, man. Yeah, anyway, I didn't get a chance to watch that movie in theaters like I would have loved to. Later, when I watched it in my small laptop, I was like, man, I missed such a great chance.
I think easily one of my favorite movies. And
yeah.
Okay, let me ask you this. So there is a quote from that movie,
Okay.
which says, "Mankind was born on Earth,
Hmm.
but it was never meant to die here."
Yeah. I dig
So-
that.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I totally dig that. I think it's probably would be, like an autobiography for Elon Musk. He's literally trying to achieve that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like, what do you think in terms of exploring and actually occupying another planet in this? Let's just talk about our local solar system for now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think we can only occupy what? Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn again, gaseous planets, and what is Uranus and Neptune?
Too cold.
Yeah, too cold. No, but they aren't gaseous, right? They're rocky planets.
They are. No. I think. Okay, I'm just gonna quickly Google that part.
Yeah. So yeah, I think Mars would be our best chance if we're gonna venture out into space, and also, of course, the moon. That's one. I would obviously dig that exploration part and going to another planet or a moon, or like we almost forgot about this Io, Europa, the moons of Jupiter. Even they're pretty good candidates, probably. Like at least they're launching missions to find if there's life on those moons of Jupiter.
Yeah. What about Europa? Have you seen, like some of the things about it? Like, I know it's a icy, smooth surface kind of a planet. They suspect there's an ocean under the surface, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I know about it. But I think what kind of gets me excited is I think I remember this one bit by Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Hmm?
I think we wouldn't have been able to record this without mentioning him.
Yeah.
But but there's one part he says that I want to go there, I want to land, I want to cut a hole in the ice, put the scoop the ice out, put the camera in, and see if anything comes and licks the glass surface.
Yeah, I definitely remember that.
I don't remember which show or where it was, but
Yeah.
it was just so like I just imagined it and
Yeah, I think it was definitely from Star Talk. You would have heard it from there. And yeah, just shout out to Star Talk. I know that Neil deGrasse Tyson has mentioned one of that. I've heard of that. And do you know if there's any mission, planned to do just that? I mean, not actually go there with a human, scoop up the ice, but send a rover and send a rover, drill a hole, and collect data.
I think there were some proposed plans, but I'm not sure about how serious they are about that, because I think it's a substantial effort to do that.
Yeah.
But that kind of actually brings me to another moon.
Okay.
I think it's of Saturn, Enceladus. Have you heard of that one?
Which one?
Enceladus.
Yeah, I have.
So similar kind of story, right? Like it's this moon that's enwrapped in like this giant ice sheet covering the entire surface. And I was just I think quite a while back I was just reading about it, and there is a subsurface ocean that they know for sure because around the South Pole there's those fissures, and it literally blasts the hot water from those fissures out into space, and some of that actually makes up the ring of Saturn, like one of the rings of Saturn. Yeah, so I don't know, I think it was a Cassini mission. So it used it tested the samples from that to figure out what is in that ocean. And they say it's like a pretty good chance that there's life over there, because a lot of the compounds found in that sample were like life-creating organic compounds.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, how did they scoop that up? Like, what? You mentioned it was Cassini mission, right?
Yeah, I think it was the Cassini mission.
That's the one which ended up inside Saturn.
Yeah. Finally when they decommissioned it, it kind of flew into the Saturn atmosphere. And do you know why that is, though?
No, not really. I just knew that after decommissioning, they wanted to get good images of Saturn, and they let it spiral down towards Saturn.
Yeah, that's one. And I just read this also that so basically since some of the moons are like this and they have water on it and stuff, they wanted to make sure that it doesn't go into one of the moons and contaminate any samples or like take any virus or anything like from the Earth.
Yeah, I think this aligns with one of those. This is one of those protocols of NASA where they have for exploration and getting into other planets and stuff. So they don't want to bring any contamination from outer space, if any, to Earth, and also they do not want to contaminate any life
The other
form.
way.
Yeah, if there are
Yeah.
on the other planets.
It was pretty surprising for me actually when I first came across that. I was like, okay, I never thought of that.
Exactly. There's another aspect to it. One is, yeah, of course, we do not want to destroy any life forms over there, if any. And the other part is, okay, let's say they get any organisms, like earthly organisms on the spacecraft, and somehow it survived and it landed on Mars or whatever, whichever planet or moons they're going. And it's over there, we don't recognize it. And like 50 or 80 years later, we then go do another second mission over there, and then when we try to get some sample, we get the same organisms, and we think that, okay, it was always there on the Mars, or it was always there on this moon, and we bring it back, and we're happy that we discovered life on other planet. So they don't want even that to happen.
Wow, that's interesting. Okay, I didn't know that one.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, I think all these organisms, like I think tardigrades, they can survive like crazy temperatures and atmospheric pressures and stuff. So
Yeah.
they can definitely withstand all that.
Yeah, I think I'd seen that. Like those tiny creatures, right? Super tiny and
Yep.
yeah. Okay.
I think I've read they even survived gamma ray blasts. I'm not sure.
Okay. What about Titan? Have you come across that?
Titan. I mean, of course, I have come across that, but I kind of don't remember any missions planned or like anything specific to Titan. Do you?
Okay. Yeah. Because what fascinated me was there was this kind of flyby video of so with the Cassini spacecraft, I think there's a Huygens craft that was attached, if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
And what happened is that was deployed onto Titan because they suspected some kind of liquid on the surface. And like that's the mission that uncovered that there's hydrocarbon lakes on that moon.
Oh.
And yeah. And there's one more interesting thing actually. There's some they do suspect an ice water subsurface over there also, if I recall correctly.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's like actually when that part of the rover landed, the Huygens part of it was put on the surface and it landed. The communication to the Cassini's craft, which is still orbiting, kind of got blocked because of the Doppler effect. And I remember this specifically thinking, like, I know about the effect, but I never knew this little anecdote. And it would have been really interesting to know it at the time.
Yeah. That's really interesting.
Yeah, they had to change the orbit of the craft to take a shorter orbit so that basically the waves that are getting sent don't change into whatever. Like if you're sending like radio waves, it doesn't get changed into microwaves. So the craft would take a smaller orbit to catch the waves earlier, so it wouldn't shift so much.
Okay. I actually thought it wouldn't matter at such small distances. Does it actually?
No, so the Huygens craft is on the surface of Titan, and Cassini is orbiting the entire Saturn system. So it would make, I think, a significant.
Okay. If that distance, creates Doppler effect, even on Earth and like all the geostationary satellites orbiting Earth, do they create as well, like significant Doppler effect that we have to correct for?
I have no idea.
I know that we have to.
I think for relativity, right? You were saying.
Yeah, I mean, I know that we have to correct for the time dilation for getting accurate time because of
relativity.
The gravity.
Yeah. I think maybe there would be because, or it depends if it's a geostationary satellite being used or something. I don't know, maybe. But I just found that fact so interesting because it's just like a basic thing of physics, and they probably wouldn't have expected that to cause such a problem. So basically, that Cassini craft wasn't equipped to pick that range. That was getting the shift was causing it to go to a different waveform, and the craft wasn't equipped to handle that.
Okay, got it.
So they had to cut the orbit short so that before it would shift so much, the craft would pick it up, and that the Huygens part of it wouldn't be such a failure.
Got it. So was the original mission intended to drop that Huygens part into Titan?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think they suspected that it had some liquid, and they're really curious to know what it had.
Nice.
So there's these really nice images of that were taken before like that part got lost contact.
Okay.
But yeah, really interesting. It looks really cool. The hydrocarbon lakes and all the details on the surface.
Yeah. That's really interesting. So all this hydrocarbon stuff, like I actually didn't know there was hydrocarbons on other surfaces apart from Earth.
Actually, I'm not aware of anything other than this moon, like having it in such a like a liquid form and quite abundant and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as you hear that, I think that would lead you to think that that's one of the hot places for life to form.
Yeah, basically trigger all the scientists
Exactly.
to run there.
Exactly.
Oh man, it'll be fun if sometime. I think, but these are the candidates. I think the subsurface ocean moons and this place Titan.
Yeah, and if we are venturing into that topic, we can't forget Venus. You remember, right? Like recently, Venus was in the hot topics because they had detected methane gas from Venus, and they thought that it could be a sign of life.
Oh yeah, like I didn't hear about this.
Oh, this was very famous. It happened quite recently. I'm not sure if like 2 months back, 2-3 months back, probably. So yeah, they detected methane, and that's one of those gases that gets into the atmosphere of any body, predominantly if there's life. So basically, what they were checking was, I mean, everyone knows that, at least us as humans or any other species living on this earth, like macroscopic species, like not tardigrades and stuff, if they cannot survive on Venus. I think Venus's surface temperature is averages about 470 degrees Celsius, somewhere around that. So
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you because it's like super high pressure and super high temperature, and
exactly.
I've heard all this like acid rain and other things and stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's why many people were skeptical about it in the beginning, but that methane emission was really promising. So then they started to think the other way. Okay, if there has to be life, what condition or what should the life be made of, or how should it look to even survive at those temperatures? So that's one. And then, okay, let's just eliminate this temperature part. And how about if it's just hovering over the atmosphere where it's not that hot? So what if that life form is only near the atmosphere? So they started to investigate. At least I heard this in one of those other podcasts.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was very interesting. The debate where could life form be just dispersed in the atmosphere, which is leading to that methane emission.
I think it's like anywhere there's some potential, it just suddenly gets like the whole community buzzing, and suddenly there's like, okay, this planet might be a potential.
Yeah, that's true. I think that's one of those very few topics that gets everyone talking.
Yeah, probably. But talking about Venus, like, have you seen some of the images from the Venera missions from the Soviet?
Nope, I haven't.
Oh, you should check them out. I think I posted about it on one of my channels like long back.
Okay.
But so basically, at least I think it was Venera 13, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, I think since they were aware from previous missions how extreme the planet's conditions are, they expected it to like maybe last like half an hour or something and just disintegrate. So it was like a suicidal mission, and they knew it.
Wait, was it going? So it wasn't just orbiting.
No, it lands. Yeah, it lands on the surface.
Oh, damn!
Yeah,
I didn't know about this.
There are some missions. Yeah. So I think this is one of the most successful ones, relatively.
Okay.
So instead of lasting just half an hour as per the expectations, it actually lasted for 2 hours and sent images back, and yeah, it was really nice.
Awesome.
And
yeah.
No, continue.
No, I just wanted to ask if they found anything else apart from stuff that we already knew.
Not really, but the images itself were, I think, the main like achievement over there. Instead of just data, we got some actual proper images, and that looks really cool. Like you can see the craft's leg and stuff in that image. And I think there's some panorama kind of images also.
Oh,
if I recall, yeah. Just check that out. I think you'll find it really interesting.
Yeah, should definitely check that out.
And I kind of find it funny that the planet that's supposed to be named after the goddess of love has like a hellish
I know, right?
atmosphere and extreme.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's irony or what.
Yeah, I know, right? Also, did you know that, speaking of names, many people don't realize this, but all these planets, they're named after, I think, Roman gods. And the moons of it are named after the Greek gods.
Yeah. I think I read that somewhere long back. But for me, it almost adds like this. See, for example, it's just like something like for past 400 years, people from 500 years, people from our planet have been trying to, look at these wanderers in the sky and understand what's happening and what do they look like. And that historical aspect of it with images of those ancient telescopes and stuff from that time, and the fact that they named it so, it almost adds like this magical element for me to it, like Ganymede and Io and Jupiter and Juno.
Yeah, I know, right? Man, like when you said Ganymede, Io, all these things, like it also reminds me of the series called The Expanse. I think you had started it, but I'm not sure if you had finished it.
Yeah, I found it interesting. I think this is something futuristic, so
Yep.
pretty nice.
If you want looking for a sci-fi series, you can check that out.
Yeah, but I wanted to kind of also ask you, like, have you heard of the overview effect?
No.
Yeah, so like some of the astronauts who have gone, even if it's just to the International Space Station, so they always describe this kind of an effect where they look back on Earth and suddenly they feel this intense feeling where I don't know what it is exactly. They're not able to describe it that well, but just this feeling of like how everything is just consolidated and fragile, and our little planet is just floating there, and it's like all those things that get discussed and nothing really matters. So it's called the overview effect, and apparently it happens only when you look at the planet as a whole, like that overview of the entire planet and everything you've ever known.
Yeah.
Is just like right there.
Oh man.
What do you think about that?
Yeah. I mean, first thing is like if you want that nothing really matters and all this stuff. I don't think I really have to go to moon to see that. I have my own dose of existential crisis to deal with. But yeah, that definitely makes sense because no one. Okay, the people who are there in outer space and people who have actually gone and landed on the moon, when they just see Earth as it is, and no one has ever ventured out of Earth or no place else. That kind of puts things into perspective. It kind of reminds me about the pale blue dot quote from Carl Sagan, where he goes on about everyone you loved, everyone you ever heard of.
Never knew.
So yeah, every single thing that we ever knew about, it's over there.
That is awesome, no? And I think there's this really nice video on YouTube also about that. And I've just seen it so many times, at least like it's been a while now, but
Oh,
yeah, check that out if you haven't.
sure.
It's like a really nice video, that whole quote, and there's some really nice images and stuff somebody's created.
Yep. Definitely check that out. And also because we were talking about surface temperature of Venus and how it's so hot, I wanted to point out that many people they don't know this fact that Mercury is actually colder than Venus. The nights in Mercury are definitely way below zero. It's minus 180 degrees Celsius, and even the days in Mercury, it's below the average temperature of Venus. Did you know that? I think you would have known.
I think somewhere, yeah, it was there, but like actively, like when you said it now, I was kind of surprised. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh
But is that because of the tidal locking?
no, it's not that.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's because of the Venus atmosphere, right?
Yep.
Traps heat.
Yeah. Yep.
I remember.
So Mercury, it doesn't have it. It's not like it doesn't have atmosphere. It has very thin atmosphere, and because of that, when sun's rays fall on that, in the night it just dissipates as heat. So that's how it should generally happen. But Venus has a crazy thick atmosphere and mostly filled with carbon dioxide. So whatever sun's rays enter that, it doesn't go out in the night. So that heat is trapped inside that, causing that runaway greenhouse effect. So because of that,
nice.
and because of that, Mercury is much colder than Venus, and nights are like minus 180 degrees Celsius. So that's damn cold for a planet that's so close to sun.
Man, that's crazy.
Right?
I actually never would have thought that it'd be so cold.
Yeah. And this also puts one more thing into perspective. Like, I think this is one other example or reason to venture out into space and study astronomical objects. Because looking at Venus, we can kind of predict where our Earth is headed if we continue on with our emissions. If even Earth has
Yeah.
the thick atmosphere with carbon dioxide in it, then like I mean, we really are headed to what Venus is currently.
Yeah.
Mm.
Let me ask you about Pluto. What do you think? Planet? No planet?
I think I'm pretty sure it's a dwarf planet. It's definitely not a planet.
Or does it really matter? Like, it always gets me thinking. And since we mentioned Neil deGrasse Tyson, I think.
uh, but which aspect of it do you want me to talk about? Like just the naming of it? Like, does it
Yeah,
matter
like the
what we?
classification, does it really matter?
Kinda, I think. Like it helps us study because there is classification. We can neatly divide stuff into one or the other class, and then it's easier to study. Gives it an
Okay,
identity.
yeah, I disagree with you. I don't think it really matters.
Okay.
Like, the planet is still spinning out there, just doing its thing, and like it really doesn't matter. It's just like us kind of arguing with ourselves. What should we classify it as?
No, but do you know the actual reason why it was demoted from dwarf planet and why it was originally considered as planet?
The size?
Yeah, that was one. And because it was actually the measuring instruments, it wasn't that precise as we have now. So when they initially measured the size of Pluto, they were actually thinking that they would find Planet X. So what really happened was when when we have Neptune, like we figured out that there is Neptune, and Neptune wasn't obeying Newton's laws of gravity or even Einstein's general theory of relativity for that matter. So they thought that okay, there might be another planet which is tugging on Neptune and causing it to behave abnormally, not abnormally, but not follow the laws of gravity of Newton or even Einstein. So.
I've heard of this.
Hmm.
I've heard of this. Yeah. So?
Yeah, so what they thought was, yeah, there definitely should be a Planet X, and so began the hunt for Planet X. But then they did the inversion problem where they found out that, okay, if Neptune has to have this deviation from this Newton's law, there has to be an object of this size and right over there. And they started to, point the telescopes at that particular direction where the calculations showed that it should be there, but they didn't find anything. So after a lot of research and search with the telescope, I don't know, I don't remember the name, but what they figured out was they just took the images of the whole wide space, and then one person found out that okay, there is a planet, and they started calling it Pluto, and they thought that Planet X was discovered. And at that time, our measuring instruments wasn't that precise enough to pick up what the size of Pluto should be. But as decades went by, I think this was in 1993 when finally someone figured out that the size of the Pluto is actually, it was getting smaller and smaller. I mean, Pluto was the same size as it always was. Our measuring instruments got better, and so our measurements also. So then we figured out that, okay, Pluto is way small for Neptune to be behaving like that. So it's definitely not due to Pluto's gravity. And then someone figured out that, okay, wait, we have to take a look at the logs of this Neptune's orbit. And then when he went and he took a look at the logs, it actually turned out that there was some calibration error or some gearbox malfunction, which led to that incorrect logs of Neptune. And then when they took out those erratic logs, like Neptune was behaving as it was supposed to behave on the orbit of Neptune, I mean. So then there was no need for Pluto. And they also got to know that, yeah, I mean, it's too small. It's the size of almost the size of our moon. So it cannot be classified as a planet. So yeah, that was a little short story about Pluto.
But now that's interesting. Like how first you kind of theorize and find something, and then later you discover you don't need it.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that Sherlock quote: "Inevitably, one begins to twist facts to suit theories instead of theories to suit facts.
I know, right? But yeah, I mean, I think, but that kind of is, excites me. That shows the frontier of science. It doesn't have the back answers that we have in our school textbooks.
Yeah, and do you remember like when the New Horizons spacecraft finally reached Pluto and sent images back, and there was like such a hype created because I think there was some heart-shaped kind of formation that was
Really?
evident, like from the like in the sense like it probably is like a natural kind of formation, but after like the false color image and stuff, it looks like a proper heart on one face of the planet.
Oh.
So there was this whole like buzz going around on the internet about, oh, we love you, Pluto, and this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think people still haven't forgotten their attachment to Pluto.
Yeah. Then I think it kind of reignited that whole debate about the planetary status.
Yeah.
What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I remember, or I mean, I don't think I've read about that New Horizon passing by. So did it cross all the planets?
Yeah, but I did. I don't know like if there were like strong images from all of them or something. But mostly what I've seen from that mission is only the Pluto images.
So, what was the original intention of that mission? Was it just to, orbit Pluto or land on Pluto? What was that?
I think it's like one of the targets is Pluto, and after like orbiting around it for a while, it went into like beyond it. So towards the Kuiper Belt and trying to analyze objects there.
Okay, cool. So Kuiper Belt is, I think it's just where all these comets and these small stowaways, rocks are there, right? Like icy particles.
Yeah, I think it's like that circular disk of objects from which some comets originate and stuff, right?
Yeah, then that's the one.
Man, it's crazy. Like if you think about it, a craft going out into that space where there's no planets now and there's nothing that we know.
Yeah.
Probably just like a few objects that we're naming as we come across.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's really interesting.
That's true.
I actually want to play some audio for you.
Okay.
Again. Okay, just hold on. Okay, listen to this. Did you get that?
Yeah. Some too sharp, high-pitched noise.
Yeah, so that is basically actually audio from deep space that was recorded by the Voyager spacecraft.
Wait, where was this? Like, was it near Kuiper Belt or like?
Like from deep space, like once it crossed the belt, and I think it's like even after the influence of the sun, like after the Oort cloud and stuff.
Oh.
So beyond that, it was relayed by the Voyager spacecraft. But I'm not sure, but basically it's just noise of space, nothing to do with any planet or anything else.
But wait, what do you mean? I mean, space doesn't have, air or air molecules to carry sound. So what was that?
Yeah, so if I remember correctly, it's basically captured the sounds of dense plasma vibrating in interstellar space. So I'm guessing it has an instrument that's sensitive to that. But doesn't it sound eerie as hell? Like,
yeah.
It's so, you know what I mean?
I know, right? It kind of reminds me of this. Just I don't know, this is going on in a tangential direction where there was this very short horror story where you tell that what is the most scariest thing that you can think of, and that's when you're living alone in an entire planet and someone knocks on your door. So I don't know, for some reason
Whoa.
Yeah.
That just made me like I don't know.
Yeah, so it's like you're out in the space and you suddenly hear this eerie noise. You know that there's no one's supposed to be out there, but this just noise is just unsettling.
Damn, that's a nice piece of like to wake someone up.
I know. But yeah, so you mentioned that it was plasma?
Yeah. Yeah, like
Okay.
what I recall reading is like vibrating,
Hmm.
ionized gas vibrating, picking up sounds from that, like the vibrations of that. I'm guessing.
Okay, cool. I'm guessing, was that from the sun, like our sun? Because I know that our sun's solar winds travel a long distance, and it has those charged particles with it.
I actually don't know about that. Could be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But speaking of the Voyager, man, like you've seen the golden record, and have you,
Yeah, I have.
man? So just for the context, so basically, yeah, the Voyager spacecraft is something that NASA and I think even ESA is involved, which we sent out into deep space, like across all the planets and across the influence of the sun. And like even now, currently, it's going out into a random direction in deep space. And what it contains is the golden record and a few other things. Basically, there's audio files, there's images recorded, and all of that is kind of printed onto a record, and there's messages on it. So there's like sounds of oceans and lightning and rain and babies crying and birds and whales. There's basically just to give anyone who comes across it an idea of what it is like on Earth. So almost like a message in a bottle thrown out to the sea kind of a intention.
Yeah.
So yeah, about the golden record, Suraj, like you were saying.
Yeah, so what I was saying was not the final record itself. Like I'm not like I saw it long back, like what was the actual contents of that record. But just thinking about it, when they were trying to come up with what to put over there, I'm just wondering about their thought process, like how the people who are deciding what Earth or what humanity will be portrayed to other civilizations if we ever encounter them. Like that's just it's amazing to think about it. Like their thought process at that moment, uh,
Yeah, for
what they
sure.
decide on putting it up. Yeah.
And I think the one thing that I liked at least is just the fact that they wanted to kind of consolidate, like sound as a consolidated, humanity, not. So even though that was the case, I think we include a lot of diversity. Like I'm not sure. I think there's like audio recorded from like a lot of different languages, if I'm not wrong.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was intentional to keep like a lot of languages and showcase that. I mean, it kind of brings us back to our first episode a bit.
I know, right?
I just realized suddenly. But
yeah,
so I like that. Like, and I think, one of the best folks in the whole community, Carl Sagan, was in charge of some of this stuff. So,
oh, was he the head of it?
I think so. Like, at least he was one of the main people. So
nice.
So, like, I think someone kind of, when we think about it, okay, whether the spacecraft will be discovered by an alien civilization or ever be found by somebody, and will it be decoded and read, and will we ever get like a response back or something? And he said, like, he famously said that it would be impolite not to say hello.
After reading like some of his works, like it seems so Carl Sagan
Yeah.
to say that.
Oh man, that reminds me of that movie Contact.
Contact.
Like, easily my favorite movie.
Oh, I still am yet to watch it. And
It's
I think
amazing.
we had this discussion. I think there's a novel and the movie is based off of the novel. What did you recommend? Like, do we read the novel or the movie?
I mean, for me, I think this is one of those exceptions where the movie is better, at least in my opinion.
Okay.
But yeah, I do know some people who disagree. But just the way the movie was made and the kind of vibe it brought on, I don't think the novel managed to do that.
Oh, then yeah, I should definitely check that out.
But feel free to go either way. Like,
yeah, I shall.
There's one more thing on the golden record that I like. Do you know about the primer and some of that stuff?
About what?
Like how when you try to communicate with a civilization where you have no contact whatsoever, like you try to establish some kind of a common language, And the way you do that is through something called a primer,
Okay, I don't know that.
which, yeah, so on the golden record, right? Like, there's basically, so what they've used is, one is mathematics is the only universal language, right? So they've used binary digits to, communicate how the record needs to be played and for how long and stuff.
Mhm.
But to measure time, what they've used as kind of like a primer is hydrogen atoms.
Oh,
Okay, I'll just quickly explain that a bit, just for
Yeah.
context. So basically, like, once in a blue moon, the electron of a hydrogen atom reverses its spin. And when it does that, it basically gives out a radiation. So obviously, no matter where in the universe, that radiation would be the same. And since hydrogen is the most abundant element in the universe, that measurement would be the same, irrespective of what unit you used. So that radiation has a particular wavelength and a particular frequency.
okay.
And if you convert that frequency into time period, it basically comes out to like 0.7 nanoseconds or something.
Oh,
So using that as the unit and using binary to represent numbers, we've given a sort of measurement on the display of the record, saying that, use that many time periods.
Mhm.
So the record should spin once in that much time.
Damn.
And the entire length of the record is this much time, by putting out another binary number. Or
Oh, that's pretty interesting.
pretty crazy, no?
Yeah,
It's like math and chem kind
yeah.
of being used to communicate.
And even though they have to, I mean, I assume that they would have to use math or like something like a Fibonacci sequence where it's common and it's easily recognizable for them. But this is pretty crazy. They have to think about something that would be fundamental.
Exactly. And even the binary representation is through dots and dashes only. Like, it's
Mm.
not any other, kind of format.
Yeah, yeah.
But I just wanted to run that by you.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I never knew about this.
I think for me, that's one of my favorite missions, the Voyager craft.
Yep, definitely.
How about you?
Yeah, favorite missions? Yeah, I think it has to be Voyager. I don't think there's anything beating that.
I actually wanted to play some audio from that.
Okay.
So this is it's like one of the recordings from the record. I'm just gonna play it out.
Hello from the children of planet Earth.
Is that a child saying hello away from planet Earth or something?
Yeah.
Oh.
Hello from the children of planet Earth.
Oh. I don't know.
What do you think?
I mean, right now it's in the middle of the night, and I think it's a bit scary.
Yeah, actually, no. It's kind of.
Yeah.
But man, just like even that background noise that you can hear in the track, it's almost like if you were to come across that craft somewhere and listen to that, it would be so, I don't know, like literally chills.
I know, right? But what is that background noise? Did they intend it to be there, or?
I'm not sure exactly, but that's how I heard it, and so I thought I'd use the same track.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. I think I need to just rewatch or revisit that entire record.
Yeah, I mean, for everyone out there as well, like, go ahead and check it out if you're interested in that.
Yep.
It's just, I feel like it's like one of those things that we've done that will always kind of be there, like as humanity as a whole,
Yeah.
away from all of the normal stuff. It's literally like throwing something out into the universe, and no matter when, somewhere along the time, some time and somewhere, someone will discover that.
Yep. It's kind of like writing something, putting it in a bottle, and throwing in the ocean.
Yeah.
People do that.
Exactly.
Uh,
Yeah, I wanted to ask, like, if there was one place that you could go, like all of this discussion that we've been having, which one would it be? Or anywhere in the solar system, or something specific that you wanted to go?
Should it be in our solar system?
I mean, not necessarily, like, whatever.
Definitely black holes, near black holes. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna die, but but yeah, I don't. If I had the opportunity to come back, definitely black holes. Like I'm pretty sure it would be like the future for me when
Okay,
I come back.
what about something? Yeah, what about something like a more realistic thing, like a mission to one of these places that
More
we've been
realistic
discussing?
thing. Okay.
Because who knows when that will happen
Yeah,
in our lifetime, at least.
yeah. More realistic, probably Neptune, because I don't think many people realize or even think about it. And again, this is one of the interesting facts that I got to know that Saturn is not the only planet which has rings. I think Neptune and probably even Uranus, right?
Yeah, I think almost all of I think all the four gas giants have rings. It's just that it's very obscure. Only Saturns are like as pronounced and brilliant and shining. And
Yeah.
that actually reminds me, like I think it was Galileo who first saw that, saw Saturn and the rings through his telescope. And of course, you can't see like those kind of Hubble images. You can only see like these dots, kind of. So he sees like a white ball, and he sees something on the left and right of it, which he calls its ears,
Okay.
like a tiny little face with ears. And that was like the first moment where somebody had seen the rings and thing with the telescope.
Oh, what sort of Saturns?
Yeah, it was Saturn's. Like the others are like too less to be discernible. Like you can't see it through a telescope.
Damn.
But it's so cool, right? Imagine, like, I know you've taken your telescope out and seen a few things, and even
Yeah.
I've like observed the moon and stuff. But like, imagine being the first person to have observed that and put it
Yeah,
down.
right.
Like,
Yeah.
it seems like such an achievement, even compared to today's images of Saturn, which are so clear and you can see the shadows of the rings on the planet.
Yeah.
But just like that one image is always stuck with me.
That's so true. So even when because you brought that up, when I got my telescope out and I was viewing Jupiter and Saturn, when I finally could focus on Saturn, that was like, man, that felt so awesome. Because even though I knew how Saturn looks and it wasn't a mystery to me, I expected a ring, but actually seeing it like real time, that was a that was an experience, definitely.
You get those like that in that
Yeah,
moment. I think
yeah,
it's similar to that overview effect. Like
I
you
know,
can't
right?
describe it, and yet we kind of understand how it feels because of these experiences, probably.
Yeah. And I think people, even with this Apollo mission, people had this special connection probably because it was there was this human aspect to it. Like people actually landed on moon. We knew, of course, moon was there like since ages, and we can see every single night. I mean, mostly every night. And people don't think about it much. But when something actually happens, like when you can see through your telescope all those craters, or when someone actually lands over there, it again brings stirs up that curiosity or that awe towards space.
Yeah, for sure. That wonder you mean to say, basically.
Exactly.
I think that's basically like what I at least take away from all of this stuff. And I remember watching. I think it was again Neil deGrasse Tyson who was just saying something like, we have people saying, "Oh, why are we putting all our money there? And we should be investing in all the problems here." And what they don't realize is that investing that money there, a bit of whatever, is kind of like that's what defines the meaning for so many things. Like the fact that we know how things form and how stars form and how the planets formed. It like this conversation wouldn't be possible without all of that. Like that wonder and curiosity wouldn't occur, and that sense of meaning of life and being wouldn't really we wouldn't be reaching towards that question or rather that answer if we never explored space and put in that effort and sent out missions and put people on the moon.
That's true. I think it's a part of our inherent curiosity that we
That
have,
need to explore.
that we at least had, yeah, as a child. That exploration.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, that's what like you said. It's implicit, right? Like it's inherent. Like it'll never go away.
Yep, that's
Well,
totally
thank
true.
God the universe is infinite. But you know what? Like I just want to end on this that I remember, I think it was just like some random person who had said that, it's sad and unfortunate that we live in a time like this where the Earth has been explored almost completely. So there's not much of a possibility left there. Which is debatable, but they're trying to say that, and yet, like, it's too early to explore the universe properly.
Yeah.
We're born in a time like that, so it's kind of a little unfortunate.
I know. Actually, when all these avenues are opening up for space travel, space exploration, space exploration is fine. Like that's what scientists do, and like most of it is just rovers. And probably we're heading towards space travel, and let's see how that goes. And hopefully that propels our exploration aspect of it.
For sure, man.
Yeah,
I think that's something to look forward to.
definitely.
I don't think I'm going to be sleeping properly tonight after all this talk, because I'm just going to be thinking about all this and wondering about stuff.
Yeah, for sure. You and me. I think I'm gonna get my telescope out and go out to my terrace.
Yeah. Cool. I think it was a nice talk and hopefully a nice experience for everyone listening in, providing a bit of a cosmic perspective, hopefully. Alright. Feel free to leave your thoughts and comments on this topic. And you can find our content on Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. And of course on YouTube as well. Thanks everyone for tuning in.